Since 1983, FAME has helped business and education work for Maine. Contact the authority, the Finance Authority of Maine. You're watching Mainebiz Sunday, Maine's business news source.
Ask most people about the state of manufacturing in Maine, and they'll probably say that closed shoe factories and shuttered paper mills are all evidence that manufacturing is dead in Maine. However, that couldn't be further from the truth. Manufacturing is thriving in Maine. The makeup has just changed. Where a few mills once employed thousands, now nearly 2,000 small manufacturers working in everything from biotech to aerospace provide jobs to tens of thousands of Maine workers. Manufacturing in Maine has a $5.5 billion impact on the state's economy. Here today to discuss the manufacturing sector in Maine and its connection to Maine's overall economic health are Gary Goodrich, President of BioProcessing in Portland, and Lisa Martin, Executive Director of the Manufacturers Association of Maine. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah, this is a great topic for us to be talking about. We wanted to, I think people do think it's dead, so we want to make sure that they know it's alive, and we're going to talk about some of the more unique and interesting parts of especially small manufacturing parts. Gary, I want to start with you first. You are the president of BioProcessing. Tell us where you're located and give us a quick kind of thumbnail sketch of what you do there.
Sure. We're in Portland, Maine, and our business has been about 20 years now. And we are a small manufacturer. We make in vitro diagnostic raw materials. These are actually materials that are used to manage and diagnose cancer. So that's kind of a specialty. We employ about 20 people.
Okay.
And we do quite a bit of even exporting. We export about 30% of what we manufacture.
Export to where?
Europe and Japan mostly.
Okay, really? Great. Good. So that's one of the things we wanted to talk about. To talk about kind of how that, even the biotech side that we don't typically think of as a manufacturing component. So, Lisa, you're the Executive Director of the Manufacturers Association of Maine. Give us that snapshot of what manufacturing in Maine is. Who is it? What are they doing? Tell us about it.
In manufacturing here in the state, the majority of the companies are made up of 50 employees or less, statewide. As you said, there's just shy of about 60,000 employees employed in manufacturing all over the state. As you indicated, it's about $5.5 billion in GDP, which is a significant, about 10% of the state GDP. And in the manufacturing sector, the GDP is actually growing at about 4.5% annually, which is very, very positive. The average wages in manufacturing are about $900 a week, which I think is significant in terms of people looking at what kind of careers and the expansive amounts of wages that they can earn. And even as a subsector of that, those companies in manufacturing that are aerospace companies are actually making about $1,100 a week in weekly wages. Statewide, as we said, there's approximately 2,000 manufacturing facilities. Those are primarily made up of metal fabricators, plastics and composites industry, the biotech manufacturing sector, electronics, the electronics sector, food manufacturing. So it really makes up a wide array, as well as advanced textile.
So the days of thinking of manufacturing in terms of kind of the big factory, the big mill, many smokestacks with thousands of employees, that's probably not the way we should be thinking about it in Maine, but rather the way you just described it.
Well, that's true. There are, of course, pulp and paper does make up a fairly significant portion of the manufacturing sector. And, of course, we have some very large companies that are here in manufacturing with, Chinbro, Bath Iron Works, General Dynamics, Pratt & Whitney, and so forth, and they certainly.
But the bulk are under 50 employees.
The bulk are primarily under 50. When we did we just did a snapshot of our membership, and about 86% of those our members are under 50, and of those under 50 companies, almost 50% of them have less than 10 employees.
Okay, so they're classic small business in that sense.
Correct.
Just like everybody in Maine is pretty much, except for the big ones that we've talked about.
Yep.
And we just have been going through a recession and are coming out of it, and we're in a slow recovery. Everybody agrees this is a slow recovery. How did those small manufacturers, how did they fare during that? How did they manage? Did they survive? Did a lot of them drop off? What's been the impact?
What we heard, and of course, keeping the finger on the pulse on a daily basis is critical during a recession, and of course during times when companies are expanding and so forth. We, as a sector, did not lose a great deal of companies. I would say a very small amount of companies, unfortunately, had to close their doors due to a number of factors. What we did see, though, in the current mainstay of companies is the loss of employees. And that was fairly significant. Yep. What we're hearing now, what we've heard in the past 2 months, 3 months, is that they're starting to hire back.
Good.
Not to the level, if somebody laid off 10 people, they're hiring back. Right now, they're hiring back 5.
Are the estimates, or what you're hearing out there from your members, the same as kind of the national estimates that I've been hearing, that it's going to take us about 5 years to get back to where we were? In the experience that, in looking at these companies, on a state level, I think that we were less impacted than the national average, and we're making a comeback with right now, currently with the national average. Interesting that there's been more companies that are hiring, starting to look for post jobs. One other question on that before I want to get back to Gary, but then also is the federal stimulus. Then has that impacted your members? Have they been able to have any of that federal money made it here in a way that has impacted the manufacturing sector?
I would say more indirectly, of course. Of course, some of the sectors, such as the construction sector, which we do have representation, did certainly gain from the stimulus money, but they need equipment, they need parts and components and all those other types of things. So I don't know if it would certainly have had a direct, real impact to having companies maintain or grow. But
Okay, Gary, biotech. Wait a minute. This is a manufacturing show. Why are you here? I mean, I get the other ones you were just talking about, kind of the aerospace, the precision metals, composites. I can see that you're making things and it's going out the door. How is biotech manufacturing?
Well, the industry here in Maine is pretty diverse. I mean, you've got actually it ranges from medical device, instrumentation, equipment, and supplies, all the way to in vitro diagnostics, which is my area, and even medicinals and botanicals. So it's a pretty wide-ranging, and these are all manufacturing activities. So, and that's about 80%, or about 100 companies in Maine that are actually making products and selling products.
So when we think of biotech, we shouldn't only be thinking of it in terms of the science that's there, the research that's there, but actually the product that has to be, once again, going out the door.
Yeah, the other 20% is really the R&D component. And that's an important component, and the state has supported that in the past, but this is really the translation from that. These are commercialized products.
And what I hear about biotech, too, is that Maine is well suited for that manufacturing side of biotech in particular. I mean, we have a workforce that can do that.
We do.
Okay, good. That's good. Real quick, before we go to break, I just wanted to kind of ask you, too, as we're talking about these interesting new things that we're doing in manufacturing, what are the growth areas for manufacturing in Maine? What kinds of new things are happening?
Well, certainly, one of the areas, when we talk about alternative energies and growth in the manufacturing is the composite sector. Obviously, we work very closely with the Maine Composites Alliance. It's an upcoming and growing industry here in the Maine, directly tied to aerospace, directly tied to military and defense applications. So that certainly has been critical. The aerospace, people look at Maine and say aerospace in Maine, but we have a number of companies that do a great deal of work in those sectors.
I know there's a whole new focus group on that, working on that whole area. I want to come back and we're going to talk more about that. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come right back. Hold on. Stay with us. We'll be right back to continue this discussion of Maine's manufacturing industry. Stay tuned.
Mainebiz Sunday is brought to you by Bangor Savings Bank, where you can enjoy free ATMs worldwide.